Alrighty, good afternoon. Today we would like to talk to you about active listening and why it's crucial in the restaurant industry. I'm JC Hafer.
I'm Charlie Otto.
I'm Jacob Coker.
I'm Britton Chavon. So, it is no secret that everyone here has had their order messed up before. Within a restaurant environment of both customers and workers, there's a large chance that active listening may be far from reach on the accidental wavelength. This includes correctly informing your waitress what you would like to eat, from expecting then the waitress to correctly inform the cooks your correct order. Active listening is expected but may be further to reach than expected depending on certain situations.
So this whole semester we've been learning about communication within the professional world, and the topic that we really felt would be good to go over was active listening, and we believe that it applies very well to the restaurant and dining industry because of how context it is and how much social interaction goes into playing by getting what you want out of each interaction. So today we would like to share with you what we've learned about active listening. To give a preview of what we'll be discussing today, we will first talk about why active listening is important and how it applies to the restaurant industry. Then we will be going over the crucial active listening concepts that we have identified based on what we've learned this semester. After that, we will give an overview of our training program that we have developed for restaurants and the service industry. After that, we will give a deeper explanation of our training program that we developed. And lastly, we will give a critique of our training program and evaluate its effectiveness and how it applies to restaurants.
Why active listening is important. Miscommunication can happen without active listening. Some communicators mistakenly assume that listening is easy, requiring only the quiet absorption of a speaker's words. What these communicators are actually describing is hearing, although 2020. And if a waiter is only hearing your words and not actively listening, then your order can get messed up either at the waiter or at the kitchen staff. Not actively listening can be dangerous in the restaurant industry. It is important that the customer communicates to the server and the server to the kitchen staff to help prevent food allergies from being missed. Without proper communication, people could get ill or even die. Wen and Kwan, 2016.
So, crucial active listening concepts. There are many different active listening concepts, some being verbal or nonverbal active listening concepts. It is important to paraphrase main points of the message to show you fully understand. You can ask open-ended questions, which provides them to share additional information. Some nonverbal skills are nodding or smiling to show you understand what the speaker is saying. You can also maintain eye contact to encourage the speaker. There are many different active listening techniques that are very effective in a workplace. One great technique is building trust and establishing rapport. When working with coworkers, you are going to want to make sure there is trust between you and the speaker at all times.
Active listening is a skill that is developed over time. However, through direct and meaningful action, one can shorten the amount of time it takes to become an active listener. We plan on instructing this through a training program. So the key to active listening, as the name states, is being active in the listening process, understanding what it means to be an active member of a conversation versus a passive member leads to a greater understanding of how active listening works. According to an article written by or published by John M. Grohl, PSYD, titled Becoming a Better Listener, Active Listening, there are 13 steps to improving your active listening skills. And all of them include direct interaction with the individual that you are listening to. Of these 13 skills, The main three that we want to focus on is restating, summarizing, and giving feedback. We feel these are most important in the active listening process, and we plan to instill these through repeated practice between employees at the restaurant. For example, we would ask members of the establishment to practice these skills every time they interact with a fellow employee, a superior, or even a customer. We also plan on hosting technique demonstrations. We would have teaching of concepts through PowerPoints, applications. We would encourage continuous interaction with the staff, continuous interaction with the customers, and also we would employ implementations, of conceptual thought experiments. An example of this is story analyzation, where we would have all the employees analyze a story, and respond with feedback on how it makes them feel, how it could relate to real world interaction, and how the active listening process helped this story. But the most important part about learning active listening is participating in active listening. So everywhere we looked, it said that the key to active listening is practice. It's repeated practice on the topic.
So to give a deeper explanation of those three main active listening skills that we identified on the previous slide, first, when we talk about restating what we have heard back to the speaker, this demonstrates to the speaker that we not only understand what they have said, but also comprehend it. This is crucial to active listening versus just hearing what they have said when you really take the time to process what we're going through. So an example of this would be saying what I'm hearing is, or just to clarify when you begin to repeat back what you have heard. You could also do this by simply going over what your customer has ordered before you submit their order to double check with them that it's correct. After this, you would also summarize. So this can be done by repeating the main points and the key details. This is a way to make sure that you have your information correct without asking the person to repeat themselves fully. Not only does this additionally show understanding, but it also proves that you have retained the essential points that are needed in order to execute this effectively, and that context is essential. And lastly, you want to give feedback to your fellow workers in the restaurant industry. So you can do this by being constructive, concise, and also providing action steps. When criticizing someone, you want to do it in private. First of all, you should never be criticizing in front of the customers. Training development should always be done separately from that. But it's crucial to give action steps here, because when you criticize someone, you want to also give them, offer them suggestions of how they can improve so that that criticism is productive. An example of this would be mentoring newer servers on how they can provide a more welcoming and relaxing experience for people dining in your restaurant. And usually when you're providing a better high quality experience for these customers, they also usually tip more and are more likely to be a repeat customer there. You could also do this by recommending dishes to the customers, having small conversations with them so that you're building trust and rapport, as we talked about earlier. And overall, the more you let communication channels flow, the more welcoming and inviting atmosphere you'll be creating for your customers. So overall, it's super important that we're using active listening in the restaurant industry, because this is such a high context industry. There are so many channels of communication in between when customers enter your restaurant and when they leave. They have to talk to their server. The server has to talk to the kitchen staff, and many other channels of communication occur. So it's super essential that people are communicating effectively and that they have the right information in order to execute their tasks. And it's also essential that wait staffs and just restaurant staffs in general are communicating effectively so that they can work together as a team.
The critique of training. Teaching employees how to participate in active listening is a valuable skill. The benefits are well worth the exhaustion. However, active listening has been shown to be more effective for retaining information, and it also makes the speaker feel more comfortable. Alder 2020. If a waiter or is talking to a customer or the kitchen staff and they're actively listening, then less orders will get messed up and people will be more happy. Training will not take a long time to learn, but a long time to master. Leaders who listen are able to create trustworthy relationships that are transparent and breed loyalty. You know the leaders who have their employees' best interests at heart because they truly listen to them. Alder 2020.
In this presentation, we discussed why active listening is important, key concepts to active listening, an overview of our training program that we hope to implement, a deeper explanation of our training program, and then a critique of the training program. In conclusion, active listening is key to successful communication in a work environment. And we feel like that through the development of successful active listening skills, businesses can greatly improve employee relations and overall productivity. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation and have a nice rest of your day. That finished